Once a law-abiding citizen, Jake had always stood on the right side of the law. Raised in a family that emphasized honesty, integrity, and respect for authority, he grew up with a deep-seated commitment to doing what was right. He followed rules diligently, respected societal norms, and believed in the justice system as a pillar of civil society. Jake's journey towards becoming a police officer was not an impulsive decision but rather a natural progression of his values and aspirations. His desire to serve and protect his community had always been present, but it wasn't until he witnessed firsthand the impact that law enforcement could have on people's lives that he felt compelled to take action. Inspired by their dedication to serving others, Jake realized that he wanted to be a part of that noble profession. He pursued his goal with determination, studying diligently to pass the required exams and physical tests. His background as a law-abiding citizen gave him an advantage, as he already possessed a deep understanding of legal principles and a strong sense of ethics. However, he also underwent rigorous training to develop the necessary skills to handle the challenges of police work responsibly and effectively. Joining the police force was a transformative experience for Jake. Every day, he patrolled the streets with a sense of purpose, striving to uphold the law while also fostering trust and cooperation within the community. Despite the inherent risks and complexities of the job, Jake remained steadfast in his commitment to serving with integrity and compassion. He understood that being a police officer meant more than just enforcing the law, it meant being a role model, a mediator, and a protector for those in need. Over time, Jake earned the respect and admiration of his colleagues and the community alike. His unwavering dedication to upholding justice and promoting safety served as a beacon of hope in an often turbulent world. And though he faced challenges and setbacks along the way, his belief in the power of law enforcement to make a positive impact never wavered. Despite Jake's unwavering commitment to upholding the law as a police officer, he faced a personal challenge that tested his principles in a way he never anticipated: his wayward brother, Mike. Mike had always been the black sheep of the family, often straying from the path of lawfulness that Jake so staunchly adhered to. While Jake pursued a career in law enforcement, driven by a sense of duty and responsibility, Mike drifted aimlessly through life, getting involved in petty crimes and questionable activities. Jake's relationship with Mike was strained, marked by a constant tug-of-war between his duty as a police officer and his loyalty as a brother. Despite their differences, Jake couldn't shake the sense of responsibility he felt towards Mike, always hoping that he would one day turn his life around and choose the right path. As much as Jake tried to maintain a professional distance from his brother's actions, he couldn't ignore the consequences of Mike's behavior. There were times when Mike found himself on the wrong side of the law, and Jake was torn between his duty to enforce justice and his desire to protect his brother from the repercussions of his actions. Jake struggled with conflicting emotions, grappling with the dilemma of whether to intervene and help Mike or to uphold the law without exception. He knew that turning a blind eye to Mike's transgressions would compromise his integrity as a police officer, but he also couldn't bear the thought of his brother facing the full force of the law. Despite his internal turmoil, Jake remained steadfast in his commitment to doing what was right, both as a police officer and as a brother. He tried to guide Mike towards a better path, offering support and encouragement whenever possible. Yet, he also made it clear that he wouldn't hesitate to enforce the law if Mike continued to break it. Over time, Jake's patience and persistence began to pay off. Mike slowly started to realize the gravity of his actions and the impact they had not only on himself but also on those around him, including his brother. With Jake's unwavering support and guidance, Mike began to take steps towards rehabilitation, seeking help and making amends for his past mistakes. As fate would have it, on the very night that Mike made the decision to turn his life around, he found himself caught in the grip of temptation once again. Feeling the pressure from his old associates, Mike succumbed to the lure of easy money and agreed to participate in a robbery scheme targeting a store in their neighborhood. Meanwhile, Jake was on patrol, unaware of the turmoil unfolding within his own family. As he cruised through the streets, his keen eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of trouble, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at him. It was as if a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air, warning him of impending danger. Suddenly, Jake's police radio crackled to life, dispatching reports of a robbery in progress at a nearby store. Without hesitation, he sprang into action, his training kicking in as adrenaline surged through his veins. Racing towards the scene with sirens blaring and lights flashing, he prepared himself for whatever awaited him. As Jake arrived at the store, chaos reigned supreme. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the night, mingling with the panicked shouts of civilians and the frantic commands of his fellow officers. With nerves of steel, Jake assessed the situation and formulated a plan to apprehend the perpetrators. Little did he know that among the masked figures fleeing the scene was his own brother, Mike. Despite the personal turmoil raging within him, Jake remained resolute in his duty as a police officer. With grim determination, he pursued the fleeing suspects, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. On one hand, he grappled with the profound disappointment and heartache of seeing his brother succumb to a life of crime. On the other, he knew that he had a job to do, a responsibility to uphold the law and protect the innocent. With the help of his fellow officers, Jake managed to apprehend the perpetrators and bring them to justice. But as he stood amidst the wreckage of shattered dreams and broken promises, he couldn't help but wonder what could have been. For in that moment, Jake realized that the true cost of upholding the law was not just measured in arrests and convictions, but in the shattered bonds of brotherhood and the weight of a heavy heart. With a heavy heart and a sense of profound sadness, Jake fulfilled his duty as a police officer by apprehending his own brother, Mike, and handing him over to the authorities. Despite the pain of seeing his flesh and blood led away in handcuffs, Jake knew that it was a necessary step towards accountability and redemption. As he watched Mike being escorted into the back of a police car, Jake's mind raced with a whirlwind of emotions. Guilt gnawed at him, wondering if there was more he could have done to prevent his brother from straying down a dark path. Regret pierced his heart like a dagger, wishing he could turn back time and steer Mike towards a different destiny. But amidst the turmoil of conflicting emotions, one thing remained clear to Jake: he couldn't allow his personal feelings to cloud his judgment or compromise his integrity as a police officer. He had sworn an oath to uphold the law, regardless of the circumstances or the individuals involved. And though it pained him to see his brother on the wrong side of justice, he knew that accountability was essential for both Mike's sake and the well-being of the community they served. As Jake reflected on the events that had led them to this moment, he couldn't help but feel a sense of sorrow mingled with hope. Sorrow for the shattered dreams and broken trust that now lay in their wake, but hope for the possibility of redemption and reconciliation in the days to come. As he resumed his patrol, his resolve to uphold the law and protect the innocent burned brighter than ever, a beacon of light in the darkness of uncertainty. For Jake, the journey from law-abiding citizen to police officer had been fraught with challenges and sacrifices, but through it all, he remained steadfast in his commitment to justice and integrity.